What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the late evening. Listen, we're going to talk about a fragrance from La Lique today, and I am a vetiver lover, and so that might give it away just a little bit. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be totally honest because I think I have a vetiver bias. And so I want to give you guys clear and transparent information on whether or not you're interested in not only this type of fragrance, but this fragrance specifically, because I think there's a lot of competitors out there that you should consider. But before we cover all the details, let's pay the bills and run that intro. All right. Again, you are in the scent bubble, and I appreciate all you guys for rocking with me. Let me know how I'm doing so far in the videos. Again, I want to make a lot more interesting videos that aren't just review based, but since I'm a new channel, I want to review every fragrance that I have so far because I think that's important. I love fragrance, and I want to make sure everybody has like an unbiased, just clear cut review. If anyone's trying to purchase any of these fragrances and going on a similar journey as me, I want to make your life easier because I feel like I have a good sense of review and I cover all of the main necessities of a fragrance. And so I want to just get that on my channel. It's not for views, it's not for clicks. It's to be a resource to people interested in fragrance. And as soon as I'm done covering all these 70 odd fragrances, I will then go into, top 10s, best summer fragrances, top 5 in my collection, fragrance battles with other YouTubers, different things like that. So those are some things on the menu. So for right now, it's going to be a little bit dry, especially if you're not interested in any of the fragrances that I am reviewing. But this is for the people. Eventually, somebody will need fragrances that are reviewed, these fragrances specifically, and I want to be a resource to the community, provide some additional insight, being at the age I'm at, in the season I'm at, in the experience I'm at. So the fragrance we're talking about today is a vetiver fragrance from the House of La Lique, and this is Encre Noir Sport. 100 ml, $20 to $25 across the board on all fragrances. This is a true vetiver fragrance. Now, it comes from the trio from the La Lique line. Those of you who don't know, we have Encre Noir, Encre Noir Sport, and Encre Noir à la Extrême. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but to kind of summarize what that trio represents, Noir is a black, inky, dark, earthy vetiver forward fragrance. It's dominated by vetiver. Encre Noir Sport is kind of the middle of the road, more, it's called sport, but really that's just a marketing way of saying this is a more commercially wearable vetiver than Encre Noir. It's supposed to be kind of the freshy out of the shower version of Encre Noir. And then you have à la Extrême, which is a more classy, more mature, more burnt wood shavings by a fireplace type of smell, but still dominated by vetiver. And so there, again, three very vetiver forward fragrances, but kind of three renditions. One dark, earthy, inky. I hate to say sporty, but one more light, fruity, fresh. The other one more resinous, woody, burnt, still earthy, but just a different resinous, burnt take on it. And it's more classy. Like it smells more mature. So, as far as Encre Noir Sport, I got to be honest with you guys. I love the fragrance, but it's certainly in the vetiver category, not even in my top 5. And part of that reason is because I love vetiver so much that I have a lot of vetiver dominant fragrances. This in my collection kind of just serves as, this is one of the OGs of vetiver. Like if you just want vetiver in your life and if you're a vetiver lover, this must have a place in your collection. If you're not really that big on vetiver, but you like it, but you're just not in love with it, I feel like there's a million other fragrances that just make more sense to have in your collection, because this isn't the most unique fragrance. I mean, this is just fresh out of the shower, fruity, slightly fruity vetiver. But even on the fruity side, it's more bitter fruit than sweet fruit. And for that, it's still somewhat dark, mature, manly. I think the age on a fragrance like this is easily 30 and up. unless you're a vetiver lover, and then you just are buying it because you really like the perfumery around the vetiver because it's so linear and simple. Let's go to a note breakdown. And I don't want to drive over this fragrance too quickly, but I'm going to make some other recommendations of vetiver forward fragrances that I actually recommend above this one for the non-vetiver lover that wants to have a vetiver fragrance to be a part of their collection. And we'll kind of go from there. But right now I want to make the star of the show Encre Noir Sport. So it's a very simple breakdown. On the top, we have grapefruit, bergamot, and nutmeg. I don't get the nutmeg. I definitely get the grapefruit and bergamot, but the blast of it up front is more bitter fruit, not sweet fruit. So it's kind of got that rininess to it. You absolutely get the watery notes and the cypress. It's got some zing to it, but it definitely smells showerly, for lack of better wording. And then you have the bourbon vetiver, Haitian vetiver, cashmere wood, and musk. It is musky, it is woody, but it's mostly vetiver. Okay, so really, it's basically, in a nutshell, vetiver, slightly darkened by it's brightened by fruit, but then for fruity, it's darkened because it's like bitter fruit. And then the water and the cypress and the cashmere wood and musk are just kind of sitting behind it, adding some sophistication. The grapefruit, water, and vetiver notes are the most prominent in this fragrance. And I'm just going to tell you guys why I'm not the biggest fan of this being a front runner in vetiver fragrances. It's a good fragrance. For vetiver lovers, it's a must-have in your collection because you won't smell anything like this. It's very classic man's man vetiver. But if you're a young person or you want to smell more of the vibrant take on vetiver, for those of you who don't know, vetiver has tons of different renditions. It can be dark, it can be smoky, it can be soapy, it can be crispy, it can be woody. There's so many different ways in terms of how it's harvested. The renditions can come out, and some of the more familiar ones, like your sweet, super classy, super soapy take on vetiver, might be something like Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. Just pure class and soapy, crisp vetiver. You have your blood orange, Rhine, bitter orange, but still light, airy, crispy, super unique vetiver with Terre de Hermes, which is just super unique. You have your Guerlains, you have your Rojas and all that, You have your Elysiums, right? There's a lot of different fragrances with vetiver that I feel just pack more of a punch for the same price. If we're talking $30 or like $35 and under category, I feel like I might go with Lalique Equus. That's Equus, because it's still vetiver forward. The perfumer who's does the Lalique fragrances uses vetiver in a lot of different fragrances on the line. But I feel like Lalique Equus is the more universal, more versatile vetiver forward fragrance that's sweeter and more charming and classier. Whereas the kind of main trio, Noir Sport, and Extreme, are kind of just like more organic vetiver renditions, I feel. Like they lack modernness, they lack youthfulness. They're just very unique, well-made fragrances with vetiver in them. And I appreciate them. I've tried all three of them. I picked up Encre Noir Sport just to respect that trio because it was the most wearable one to me with my interest. I liked all three how they smelled, but I could only smell this one on me. And that's when I want this kind of out of the shower, grown man smell, but also I want to but also kind of that grown man, I want to smell like vetiver, type vibes. Like this is very much a statement type of vetiver, I feel, where you just don't care about what anybody thinks and you just love vetiver type vibes. But I do feel like Ecus is the better choice in the Lalique line. Sweet, ambery, fruity, but woody, warm, charming, classy Ecus. Even something like that Bourbon Cure cheap dupe I found at TJ Maxx, smoked vetiver that just has smoked vetiver, ginger, and cedar. That one's a killer fragrance and it's only $13 and I still feel like it has more use case than this. Um, the Elysium clone, Fraghead's Asylum, from FOMO, I think is a vetiver led fragrance that just has more intrigue and array of layering around the perfumery. It might be less high quality ingredients, but it smells better, to put it quite bluntly. I think Tarathi Blue might even have vetiver in it. Let me look at that. Tarathi Blue. Tarathi Blue does not have vetiver in it. Okay, so just the Fraghead's Asylum for the Elise for the vetiver note. Um, but yeah, so those are a couple of things, man. Banana Republic 78 Vintage Green, Calvin Klein Defy, um, Ecus, the Smoked Vetiver, the Elysium Clone, Fraghead. Yeah, like those are just a bunch more fragrances. Even fragrances from the Bentley line have vetiver in them that just have overall more use case than these. They're a little less organic, a little more commercial, modern. So again, I think this is more of a fragrance for vetiver lovers. Um, I used to be able to say that this was just a steal for the cost, but nowadays with clones and dupes, and there's so many different great ones out there, there's a lot of vetiver forward fragrances you can have for under 35 bucks that just have more going on than just a very basic kind of, vetiver woods and some slight bitter grapefruit in them. You know what I'm saying? So I'll always go to this because I think the perfumery in this bottle is very classy. But it is very linear to my nose, so it doesn't have a lot of use case. Like I burn it out really easily and want to switch to another one. It's kind of just like a once in a while grab for me. But um yeah, I think this is one of those fragrances that I wouldn't recommend to everybody. It's just kind of one of those things. Here's what I'll say, guys. If you're considering this fragrance, and I do personally like this fragrance and I do rock this fragrance, but that's me. I think the best thing I ever did with the entire Lalique line is bought samples. You might have to dig a little bit to find like the Extreme and like Lalique White and all of them, but I think you guys should try every Lalique fragrance that even sparks your interest, because what you hear people say about the Lalique line specifically with the vetiver forward fragrances, and there's like 5 or 6 of them, the fragrance will smell totally different than what people are describing it as. I feel like when I smelled all 3 of those, I was like, wow, even though people talked about it and described it, I was not, I was not, I would have never guessed it would have smelled like that. And so I think these are the types of fragrances you guys got to have in front of your nose. Get the sample. It'll be worth paying the $4 or $5 for the sample and saving yourself money, because in my case, I wind up not getting Noir or A la Extreme in the full bottles, or Lalique White in the full bottles. I wind up just getting Ecus and Sport after I tried all of them. And I thought I would end up blind buying the whole batch. So definitely do your due diligence. If you do go through with this, I think this is a 30 and up fragrance. It could go younger if you absolutely love vetiver and have like a bunch of vetiver fragrances and you're just looking to add it to your collection. This is an out of the shower fragrance. This is a gym fragrance. This is you might be out on the water type fragrance. Like it's a spring and summer fragrance. It could rock in cooler weather, but I think it shines in warmer weather. It could be classy, but it can also be sporty, but it's not going to be overly classy because it's so linear. It's not sophisticated. It will leave an impression, but not one that's very layered. not a lot of intrigue. You'll just smell like the green vetiver guy. And yeah, just to know the citruses don't. People won't make out grapefruit and bergamot. They will smell the slight citrusy tinge, but it is bitter because of how heavy the vetiver water and cypress is on this fragrance. Um, we went over use cases. We went over age, price, $20-$30 on any site, 100 ml bottle. Atomizer is very average. It's more of a spray than a mist. Yeah, I think I covered everything, guys. Um, yeah, I hope that was helpful for you guys. Like I said, normally it's like, yeah, definitely get that fragrance, but I think this is very context specific to your age, to if you're new to your collection, like how many fragrances do you have? Are you a vetiver lover? And I hope I went through the psychology of kind of how I approached all those categories and why it made sense for me to pick up sport, but I don't think it's for everybody. In fact, I don't think it's for most people. It's for a niche batch of people, because even though it's excellent perfumery, will it smell good on you and will it be something you're interested in is a whole different question that you got to answer for yourself. So for that reason, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop comments below and I would love to answer anything that you might have. I'm sorry the video was so long. I was hoping it would be short, but I think there's just a lot to be said about this fragrance in terms of considerations. Bottom line is buy a sample of this before you try it. And there's many ways to get them for very cheap. Since it's a cheap fragrance, you could dang near get a really big size sample for like, 5 ml, 10 ml for less than $5 probably. But anyways, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I really appreciate everybody who's been interacting thus far and looking forward to bringing you guys more content. This is not a dupe fragrance. This is from a house, Lalique. And I think they did a pretty good job. And I hope that when you cop it, you'll feel the same way. But you're rocking with me in the scent bubble. Hope y'all have a great night. As you can see, I'm losing brain cells, so I'm going to get some sleep. Peace.